How you do that there? How you do that there? I ain't mad about it. I am your man's Nic Rattlehead. Woo! And behind this camera, somewhere out in California, watching over your boy, is my buddy, my pal, my compadre, my amigo. Oh, y'all don't even know. My man's with the master plan, 100 grand, only you, me, and God knows how much I love this guy, man. Tell him one more time, what's your name? Matt the Graff. Matt the Graff, yeah. And we are Aftershock Reviews, here to give you the best extreme music reviews. And today I have to preface it. I have to stick a big PA label here, right? The contents of this album is very vile, right? It's offensive. It really is. So because of the contents of the album, this review has to have the PA label. Maybe Matt can, replace the whole Aftershock Review logo that's normally at the bottom with a PA label instead. Because since that contents of the album is gross, the contents of this review might be a little bit more on edge than they normally are. But why is that? Well, we are talking about, it starts here. I'm sorry. Tortured Whole by Sanguisugabogg. Well, Sanguisugabogg come out of Columbus, Ohio, right? And they formed around 2019 and then therefore gave us their EP, their intro to who they are in Pornographic Seizures, right? Now, Nick, did you like Pornographic Seizures? Actually, I quite loved it. I'm not even going to say quite liked. I quite loved that thing. Right? Of course. Because, right, I was with the whole Neanderthal approach. Give me the brutal death / traditional death metal vocal that shot off in the back somewhere, right? With the reverb, with the heavy percussion, right? Give me that. And the big chunky drop D tuned guitars. That was nasty. Ugh, it was good. Oh my gosh. But you know what? Hold on. Time out. Because I just dropped something else, right? I said drop D. Yet still, I'm trying to be cognizant of people who are probably just getting into death metal or getting into metal in general, and we take for granted a lot of the vernacular that we use, right? So what is drop D tuning, right? Well, if you have a guitar, or if you're interested in getting a guitar, you'll notice that maybe you get like, a 6 string or something else like that. The big thick string normally at the top is your E string, right? Now, what we're doing with that E string is we're going to tune it down a half step, right? Or 2 fretfuls, right? And that E is going to turn into a D. And it's only going to be like a lower octave of your 4th D string, right? That is what drop D is. And what does it sound like? If you are an Alice in Chains fan, anything technically from Dirt is going to be kind of in the way of that, right? It makes things sound darker. It makes things sound almost a little bit more bluesy depending on how you use it. And it makes things sound way more sinister. And it's nasty and it's gross. And Sanguisugabogg did an awesome freaking job on Pornographic Seizures, right? Also looking at the lyrical content, right? Now, if you're a fan of like early Cannibal Corpse, right? Like first 4 albums of Cannibal Corpse, right? You're going to notice that, yes, a lot of dismemberment is happening. The characters perform violence against men and, controversially, women, right? And that's what Sanguisugabogg are here doing as well. Like, for them, the characters in their story, their hands are rated E for everybody. Everybody catches the smoke, right? And I don't necessarily have a problem with that, especially since I don't think it really represents the way the band members themselves look at, women or anything else like that. What I think it is just, the horror movie element, the classic horror movie element where like the slasher or the murderer goes after everybody, including women, like a Jason Voorhees or a Freddy Krueger or a Michael Myers, things of that nature, right? And of course, I'm giving you the mainstream slashers just to kind of illustrate the point a little bit better. I'm not getting into the B movie gore fests that happen around like mid to late 80s and like early 90s and stuff like that, which a lot of those elements are seen in the band's lyrical content, right? So 2019's Pornographic Seizures happens and people really do like it, and the band takes off, right? And now they start releasing merch and all this other good stuff, and people have a smoke with that because now they're saying, hey, yo, man, y'all only got like what, maybe 4 tracks? That's about it. And now you're printing all of these shirts, right? What the heck? And to me, it's even a situation where you have to also understand studio time is expensive, bro. It ain't cheap. It's not cheap whatsoever. Even if maybe you're doing a lot of the production yourself, you still have to rent that studio time, right? And I think, or at least invest in a lot of the equipment it takes to even maybe produce the album from home. So now what do you have to do? You have to recoup those costs, right? So what is a really easy way for a metal band or any artist in general to recoup those costs? Merch. So yes, they released a lot of shirts. They released a lot of other things to kind of like recoup those costs, which I have no smoke with. Why? Because the quality of the product itself merits that. Since Pornographic Seizures to me was so good, I don't mind going out and buying a Sangui shirt, right? In the same vein, like if I go watch a Disney movie, right? If I watch Princess and the Frog, or if I go watch Frozen or something else like that, right? The art itself was so good that I don't mind, like if I have like my little niece, right? I don't mind going out and buying her an Elsa doll. Why? Because Frozen was freaking good. It's the same thing. Create quality and then monetize it. And that's what Sanguisugabogg did. But still ranting on that, we go to Tortured Whole now, right? Now, how is, at least sonically, how is Tortured Whole different, right? Well, we're talking from, the drop D from Pornographic Seizures. The drop D is now gone in favor of a drop G. What the heck, right? So yet again, going back into, the little bit of a theory talk, it is a different tuning altogether from your standard. And I wanted to make sure I looked this up because it is a little unusual, at least for me, right? And I wanted to make sure that I gave it to you correctly. So it goes like this. It goes G on your 6th string, D on your 5th string. We're talking about octaves like we did with the drop D. There's also a G on your 4th string, right? Then we have a C on the 3rd, E on the 2nd, and an A on the 1st, right? Then on top of that, try to use a heavier gauge of string, right? And what you get is this thick, geez Louise, this thick guitar tone. God almighty, it's heavy and it's sinister and it is laughing at you like it starts ripping your entrails from your guts. It's gross. Oh my gosh. And not only that, the percussion seems even more like, it seems like it played a more secondary role when it came to Pornographic Seizures, where the vocalist and the guitar really were the stars of the show. Here, they just flip it. They turn it on its head, and it's the freaking percussionist, because the kick drum is ever present, it's omnipresent, and it's savage. The toms, you feel them as they like ring your lungs and your heart to become on pace with its tempo. It's nasty. And then we talk about it. Matter of fact, let's just get into it, right? The freaking snare drum. That's it. Okay. Everything about Sanguisugabogg is hilarious and overbearing and just probably extra, just to the max, right? And that snare drum is the auditory pinnacle of that ideology. Why? Because it rings, man. It rings. Much to a lot of people's hatred, it just boing, boing, boing. And the funny part about the whole thing, well, I think a lot of people hate it. I have no smoke with it. It works hand in hand with what they are trying to portray, with the overarching silliness surrounding the entire album. Yes, a lot of the lyrical content is gory. A lot of the lyrical content has a lot of dismemberment and being disemboweled and of the homoerotica stuff as well, right? It's extra. It's a lot, right? It's a lot. People are getting killed in the worst way, but at the same time, it's so extra that it feels like the aforementioned B-movie gore fest. It's good. It's really good. But I've banged on about that enough. Let's actually go into the track listing, right? And we start with Minstrel Envy, right? Now, like I said, I'm sorry about the track titles, but it just is what it is. Minstrel Envy starts with just this blitzkrieg from the percussion, right? And we have the brutal death metal pig squeals, right? Just the, I can't do it. Hold on, let me try again. Hold on. Can't do it. But it's the pig squeals going off everywhere. We have the pinch, the pinch squeals coming from the guitars, right? It's just, it's great. It's just the whole thing is disintegrating and falling apart at the seams around you as pus and whatever else is just foaming from the walls, seeping to the floorboards, the floor mordant. It's gross. It's absolutely gross, right? And the great thing I love about this is it embraces its over-the-topness. And the thing is, they never, ever use a guitar solo at all. They don't. They really rely on groove, and that groove is based off of the chunky guitar notes, right? Usually sometimes in a 4/4, and then they cut it to a cut time most of the times, right? And they really rely on the double bass, only using skank beats to either A, amp the adrenaline, or B, transition to another, I don't want to say transition to another idea. That's not what they're doing. Because it technically is the same idea throughout the entire track. And that's an overarching thing with the album as well, right? The riffs don't necessarily get thrown out for a new riff. What happens is the riffs mutate, right? The riffs go under some type of evolutionary process, right? And in the evolutionary process, more elements are added and some are even taken away in order to create a new experience throughout the track itself. It's really cool. And to me, almost, it's understated, right? Like you can say like, there's a underlining sense of technicality to be said when it comes to something like that. It's really good. It's really good. And to me, on top of that, the vocalist, yes, he's not drenched in reverb anymore. There's no more reverb like Pornographic Jesus from 2019. Instead, he's in your face. It's gross. And the subject matter. Okay, so we're going to get into this, okay? So the man in the story looks at his wife and she's going through her monthly process, right? She's going through that. And this man is just like, maybe I don't want her to be alone while she's going through this. I love her. I want her to know that I'll suffer with her, right? So what does he do? The band member or whoever infects his member with a parasite, right? And this parasite moves and starts to decay his member and then starts eating away at his insides, right? And as it's eating away and destroying his insides, he starts bleeding from his rear end. And then that simulates his woman's monthly gift. And that's him showing love for her. And it's something. It's something. I mean, look, if he love her like that, go for it, champ. But it's a lot. It's a lot. And that's just a taste. That's one of the more tamer tracks so far as subject matter from this album. Because then we get Gored in the chest. Now, this thing is groovy and chunky. Give me all the double bass groove you got. It's great. And like I said before, it punches you in the junk with every smack of the kick drum and every time they punch, I'm not even going to say hit, they punch the toms and the smack of that snare. Oh my gosh, you feel it, man. It moves you. It's not a game, right? And that ride cymbal, he abuses it. It's absolutely great. The bell on that ride's just ding, 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 ding. It's so good. It's absolutely great. And it's a good change of pace from the mayhem of Minstrel Envy, right? Now, let's talk about Pornographic. Because Pornographic, which I guess in essence, the title of this track kind of harkens back to their EP, is an interlude. And it's the first one here. Because there's Pornographic and then there's Interlude. Right? I'm just saying, like, this is where probably we have the little trombone come in, right? And for me, Pornographic is an interlude that works. And I think it's the only interlude on this album that works. because why they use, I think they're a little bit more cognizant of trying to make sure they paint the atmosphere, paint the picture of the B-movie gore fest that really seems to influence them, right? And it kind of works here. A lot of keyboards and a lot of atmospheric nonsense going on in the background. It's pretty cool and it's pretty great. And what it does is it leads us seamlessly into my favorite track from this album, which was also a single called, yet again, I'm sorry, Dead Ass Shit. Oh, it's good. It's good. Oh, and it has these it's a fifth grade like level riff. It's just 5 notes chugged as deeply as they possibly can in that G tuning there. Do 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 boo boo, and it's in this trudgy 4/4 time signature. Oh, it's good. It's great. It's absolutely phenomenal. And then the vocalist comes on top of all of this grooviness, this chunky grooviness, and he delivers his vocals in this very guttural manner. Like, most of the pig squealing is pretty much gone. This is more along the lines of our traditional death metal delivery, but it works. And a little bit of reverb is now being introduced to this track as well. And it just makes it feel more encompassing. It's absolutely great. And my 4/4 groove is only interrupted midway through by this wonderful thrash-like skank beat. And as the track begins to like pick up the pace, right, and become even more ominous and even more pace-inducing, right? Like I can feel the pulse in my heart. Like I can feel it in my veins, like just amp up to like 20 as like you can kind of hear the serial killer or the slasher start running at you, right? It's not like not Freddy Krueger, but it's not like a Michael Myers where you can always see the shape, because that's who he is. You see the shape walking towards you or stalking you. No, this dude is running full speed towards you like Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which also made him like one of the most scary slashers of all time, because he'll run at you. I didn't like that, but I loved it. But I didn't like that. It's like that, right? And it then goes into Tortured Whole. Tortured Whole to me is probably one of the best and also underrated tracks from Sanguisugabogg, but also in metal this year so far. Why? Yes, it does not have the guitar solos. Yes, it doesn't necessarily do a lot of acrobatics, so to speak, so far as technicality is concerned, right? But it is still technical, right? Because of the thought process that they put into the many different riffs that come on. And this is the only track that kind of does this, right? Because like I said before earlier, we have the riffs that kind of undergo an evolutionary process to become some otherworldly creature near the tail end of whatever track that they were introduced in. Here, it does feel like, here's an idea, here's an idea, here's an idea. Now we're going to take a staple gun and just do this to the multiple different riffs that are applied in Tortured Whole. But somehow they feel, every YouTuber's favorite word, cohesive, right? It feels like that. It's great. It's great. And then after Tortured Whole, we have Interlude. This is the interlude that does not work to me, right? Because there's very little in the way of any type of dynamic structure when it comes to this. It just feels like a couple of notes being held out far past their welcoming point. And it's just kind of like, you know what? Kind of could have did without this, right? Kind of could have did without this. That's my only really critique of this album, right? Because we then get to Urinary Inker. Urinary Inker, I know. Urinary Inker is like, it starts out as this death doom. Oh my gosh. It's just a death doom track, right? At least it starts out that way before it just explodes into a brutal death metal bonanza like we have been exposed to previously in this album. It's so good, and it's such a welcome change of pace, right? Because sometimes you know what? It just hit me. As I'm talking to you now, it just hit me. Maybe I do like Interlude. Why? Because it gives me a break from all of the thundering percussion. It gives me a break from all the buzzing bass. It gives me a break from that oppressive guitar, right? It gives me a break from all of that. It kind of sees that I'm being worn down, so it kind of pulls the reins back a little bit and says, let him catch his breath before we run him back over again. We want him to feel everything that we're doing to him. So give him a break, hold on, let the pain from the previous track seep in a little bit more. And then when he tries to get up and he tries to kind of like, gather his thoughts, then we smack him again. And that's exactly what they did. And it is magnificent. And it is wonderful. So you know what? Take that, time out, throw it out with the bathwater. Freaking the interlude is good. There it is. I just had to get the ideology behind it, right? And now we get to the end track. And yes, I have been kind of skipping around a little bit. I really want to make sure I hit the highlights of the album. Felching Filth. The track title alone. Yeah. So, Matt, do me a favor. If you can just put what, the definition of felching is somewhere here, right? Because I don't know if I can say that on YouTube. I don't know. I don't know, and I'm not even going to try it. So let's just put the definition somewhere up here so they can see it, because it's something. It's something, and it's gross. It's gross in its matter of fact. Support your bands. Support your bands. I'm going to read a little bit of this to you to give you an idea of what these people are kind of like, right? So, okay, here we go. And I'm only going to read a little bit, right? I'm only going to read a little bit. So check me out. Oh, Lord help me. White milky curdle juices sucked from out the rotted a-hole enters my eager mouth. Felch the dead rectal S-man, feast on his putrid A-pipe, swish the embalming fluid. Yep. Yep. That's what's going on here. It's gross. But the thing about it is, especially when it comes to brutal death metal or death metal, just in general, the guttural vocals kind of eases the lyrical blow, because it sounds like that, right? So it's kind of hard to decipher what's going on here until you kind of read that, and then you're like, they're gross, right? But it's also, it's like I said, it's extra, it's over the top, and they're trying to be humorous, and they're trying to be a little bit extra. They succeed. But so far as instrumentally is concerned, oh, it's nasty. It's great, because it starts out with this huge double-bassed drum intro, right? And then the guitar and the bass said, I see what you did here. And they come in and start to assist this percussive onslaught on your very psyche. And it's great. It is a whole sum total of everything that Sanguisugabogg is. Now, Nick, do you really love this album as much as you say you do? With all that you said so far as like the vileness of the lyrical content, right? And the over-the-topness of the G tuning and the oppressiveness of most of the tracks onto your eardrums. Do you really like this? Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I might need to see a therapist, because I shouldn't like it like this. I actually should not like it like this. Before I even got a chance to buy the CD, right? I was just enjoying the album for what it was so far as a sonic aspect is concerned, right? But even being now cognizant of what they're saying here, right? Does it really affect how I think of them? No. But I also now have to make sure that whenever I listen to them in the future, I come in with the right mindset. They're probably going to try and gross me out, and that's okay. That's an aspect of metal that has been around, brutal or death, that has been around since its inception, right? And I am okay with that. Do I recommend this to everybody? No, I don't. Like, at some point, I think you have to be in a certain mindset. You have to be a certain type of person to really enjoy what's going on here. Especially when it comes to that snare drum, poing, that comes in. But it is a great album. It is a wonderful album. I highly suggest this to anybody. We're going to leave links for the CD and the vinyl below. We'll also leave links for you to pick up shirts. I'm telling you, like, if you love Gored type stuff, you like Mortician and Autopsy and the rest of this stuff, you'll love them. It's absolutely, if you like Dying Fetus and the grooves that they put forth, you'll love this. I'm just saying. The name of this album again is called Tortured Whole by Sanguisugabogg, out now on Century Media Records. I'm telling you, pick it up if it's your cup of tea. I am your man's Nic Rattlehead, and behind this camera somewhere out in California is my man's with the master plan, 100 grand, only you, me, and God knows how much I love this guy, man. Tell him one more time, what's your name? Not the Graff. Wash your hands, support your bands. Peace. How you do that, Daryl?